Merry Christmas. You may be seated. The Millers, I'll call them, the Millers are a couple from Minneapolis, and they decided to escape their icy Minnesota winter and fly down to beautiful sunny Florida. They planned to stay at the same hotel where they spent their honeymoon 20 years earlier. Maybe it was the Jupiter Waterfront Inn or something like this. Both of them had hectic schedules, though, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, so the husband flew down on Thursday while the wife was going to stay an extra day and come down on Friday. Mr. Miller checked into the hotel and decided that he would email his wife. But in typing her email address, he left one letter off of her email address. Without realizing the error, of course, he wrote his letter and hit send. Meanwhile, in Houston, Texas, a recent widow named Mrs. Miller returned home from her husband's funeral. He had been a minister for many years, called home to glory after a sudden heart attack. She sat down to check her email after getting home, expecting messages of condolence from relatives and friends. But after reading the first message, she fainted. Her son rushed in and found her lying on the floor, the computer screen open to the email. "To my loving wife," it said. The subject, "I've arrived." "I know you're surprised to hear from me. It's amazing. They have computers now. I've just arrived and checked in. Everything has been prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you then. Hope your journey is as uneventful as mine was. P.S. Sure is hot down here." It is good to see you tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Some of you who are here every week, I am so grateful for your faithfulness, and others of you who come just once or maybe twice a year, I am so glad to be with you on this particular night. There is something about Christmas Eve that just kind of draws us in, right? The candles, the carols, the feeling that for one night, the world is able to slow down enough for us to catch our breath and remember what really matters. So whatever brought you here tonight, including the person who might be sitting next to you, thank you. You are welcome just as you are at Good Shepherd. We have a place for you. Now, Christmas is also one of those days that I think if we did a little poll of the kids who were here at the 4 o'clock and other kids who might be here tonight, I think it's one of their favorite days. That and their birthday they wish could just go on and on and on. And in moments like this, under the twinkling of the candles, I feel like that ambience and spirit of the night invites us to wish the same thing. We wish Christmas was forever. We want to bottle up this feeling and make it last, even though we know that it won't. The tree will come down in January, if I'm lucky, or before for some of you. I know, I drive by houses. The lights will get packed away and the normal will return. And if we're honest, if you can just imagine a week or two from now, there's almost a little bit of a relief after we go through all of the things that we're going to go through, especially if you're with your in-laws. I'll be there tomorrow, don't worry. I hope they're not watching. Okay, because moments like this always do seem to fade, don't they? That life kind of has to go on. But I wonder what if God isn't offering you a feeling tonight? What if God isn't trying to give you some mountaintop experience that's going to fade by New Year's? What if instead God is planting something very, very small here? A piece, just a small piece of God's self that is specifically meant for you. Something for you to just pick up and take home with you. Listen for a moment to what happens after the shepherds arrive at the manger with Mary and Joseph. Luke tells us all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. You see, there's wonder. The crowds, the people, they're impressed. It's lovely. But then Luke turns to Mary. And Luke says about Mary that she treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. Everyone else has a big moment with the shepherds, but Mary does something quite different. You see, she keeps it. She picks up this small, strange thing. Shepherds who are appearing suddenly, angels that are singing, her baby somehow at the center of God's promise, and she carries it with her in her heart. I don't think she understood it all. No. Actually, the verb that Luke uses suggests that she kind of turns it over in her heart. She compares it to other things that she knows, letting it sit in tension with those things. Mary, on this night, doesn't try to force an answer. She just keeps it close, returning to it and pondering it. Mary's pondering reminds me of the Christmas cards we send and receive. I'm sure you've sent and received Christmas cards, maybe not. My Christmas cards just got here at 4:30 this afternoon, so I am behind the 8 ball on my Christmas cards, but I've sent them in years past, and I'm always astounded when I go over to people's houses, a friend's house or something, and I see one of our cards that are up on the fridge even a year or two after it was sent. I'll typically say something kind of self-deprecatingly, but then I'll say, well, why is that still on your fridge? And they'll say, we love that card. It reminds us of you and the joy you bring into our lives. And I think that's true, but I also think that at some level it's just there. It's part of the landscape. I bet the people who leave it on their fridge after the season is over pass by it every day getting their coffee or their milk, most days probably not even noticing that it's there. But then on some mornings, when they do notice it, it makes them think of us, remember a conversation with a smile or maybe a grin that creeps across their face. I think that was what Mary was kind of experiencing that night. She had just given birth. She was exhausted and vulnerable. And suddenly these strange men burst in, reeking of sheep and sweat, breathless, with this wild story about angels filling the sky. It must have been bewildering, even maybe frightening for her. But somehow she knew that it mattered. So she kept it, like that little card on the fridge, and over time, that revelation from God only grew in significance for her. Through temple visits and misunderstandings, watching her son grow, through miracles and meals, through cross and resurrection, Mary kept returning to this holy night. And each time, that thing that she treasured spoke to her differently. It meant something new. Well, my friends, God's promises are often like that when we make room for them in our soul. They start off as a small thing, but they grow over time. Here's what Luke knows that we often forgot, that transformation doesn't really happen in the big moments. Transformation happens in what we do with the small thing that we hold on to afterwards, in the keeping and the pondering, in the making room in our souls. Because under the surface of angels and candles and shepherds and mangers, there is a promise that God is making this night. And unfortunately, it is not a safe promise. It doesn't guarantee that the status quo of our life is going to hold up forever. I would actually go so far as to say that God's promise to us is a dangerous one to life as we know and expect it to be, because God sees life as it should be, not just as it is. I think that's what Titus is getting at in our second reading. The grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation to all. Past tense. Grace has appeared Christmas Eve, a manger, love born into this world. But then Titus keeps going. The same grace makes us zealous for good deeds. Present tense, it's ongoing. The grace that appeared is working in us to train and transform us for something better, something bigger. And the mechanism, that small thing that you keep, that thing Mary pondered, that is the engine that drives the change. That's the engine of new life. So maybe tonight, or maybe tomorrow at 4:43 when your kids wake you up to open presents. Maybe it'll be during silent night or a prayer. Something will catch you. Some word or some image, some sense of being seen or loved or called. And it's going to be small. You probably won't even be sure what to do with it. You might not even tell anyone about it, and that's fine. My advice is just to keep it, just to put it on your fridge, so to speak, just like Mary. Let it be there, part of your landscape, because in 2 weeks when you're back at work and you're exhausted and you're tired and you're looking back, that thing will still be with you. In March, some months from now, when you're discouraged and wondering if anything really matters, you can notice it again. Like Mary, you can turn it over and ponder it and let it speak to you in new ways as your life unfolds. Because that is how God works. Not through obligation or fear or pressure to get it right, but through a small, true thing planted in you that if you keep returning to it, slowly changes you and me from the inside out. So what is the promise? What's that promise that God has for us? Well, I believe it is this: love. Love that is more powerful than anything else in the universe. And love, well, that love is born tonight. Merry Christmas.